Welcome back to Almost Above Average. I'm Chris McIntyre. It's 4:27 a.m. in the morning, and I just felt like making a video. Maybe doing a little explanation about the podcast. Thank you to everybody that has recently followed me on any of the social media platforms. I really do appreciate it. To any of the new followers, you're probably thinking, what kind of podcast is it? And you'd be right. So it originally started as a way to share impactful stories. I'll tell you the story. I've said it 1,000 times on the podcast, but I'll say it again. I started Almost Above Average. It's been probably 2 years ago now in a media company called McMedia Network. And I was inspired to start this company because I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober. March 27th, I'll have 5 years. It is January 30th right now. And so I started this podcast, media network, content creation thing that I'm doing around a story that I heard. When I first got sober, when I first moved out here, actually, I'll give you a little backstory on that. So before I moved out here to North Carolina, I'm from Carson City, Nevada. And we moved out in 2021, my whole family. But before that, most of my adult life, I was pursuing alcohol and drugs. I was pursuing changing my state of mind. And that was mostly what I cared about. And so when it came time, when the decision came to move here, how it went down, it was probably the worst part of my drinking. The last 2 years of my drinking was just a blur of blackouts, getting fired, and just dealing with all of the bad things that you hear about from alcoholism. And so before we moved out here, my drinking took me to a place where I had attempted suicide a couple times leading up to me moving out here. I think kind of what broke the back the last time I tried to commit suicide was I thought I had a case to try to fight for custody to keep my children in Nevada. But, my brain was alcohol and drugs the whole time. So, looking back at it, I was not thinking clear. But, we hired and we tried to prevent my kids from moving out to North Carolina. And I tried to keep them back home. And the judge was like, no. And he pulled up my rap sheet. He's like, man, I've been seeing you for years. Like, this is a serious problem. So he allowed my ex-wife here with my kids, and I had to face this decision. And this was kind of how it felt. Like, I either am going to stay here for sure, I'm going to drink myself to death. That's what I was doing. That's what I was practicing. Or I'm going to go out to North Carolina, get my shit together, and try something different. So, after the judge said I keep the kids in Nevada, I was just like, all right, let's go together and try to quit drinking. And so moved out to North Carolina. I was able to get a job, and I was grateful that job actually had a place for me to live for a little bit. I didn't do a great job at that job. I got fired in like a month or two. But when I first got here to get sober, I had never quit drinking for more than probably just hours at a time. That's probably not true. I have a hard time remembering because it's all a lot of pills, a lot of alcohol. But anyway, so I'm in North Carolina and I don't know how to get sober. I'm aware of AA. I've been arrested so many times that judges have put me in AA several times. And I went and I didn't listen. I didn't care. I met a lot of drug dealers and drinking buddies in AA at the times that I went because that wasn't what I was about. What I was about was, going to those meetings and socializing. But yes, I wanted to find people to hang out with and do drugs with. So anyway, I've been to AA for years. I just didn't care about it. But I knew about it. I was aware of it. So when I was here and I was struggling not drinking, I didn't drink when I got here. I kind of cold turkeyed it and just came here. AA was the only avenue that I try to help myself. So I reached out on Google and found some meetings nearby and got connected with the AA community out here. All right. Fast forward, we're like a couple months I've been here. But I'm still not feeling the AA program. I'm going to the meetings, but I'm not engaged. I'm there just white knuckling it. All right. hoping that I'm going to hear something that I latch onto or something. And so I'm going to a few, I'm not liking any of them. And this one day I wander into a meeting in Apex, and I'm just sitting there. I think I had just got fired from that job. So I was looking for a job, and I was really just depressed and sober, but it wasn't a good time for me. And in this meeting, there was a guy in there, and he was 2 years sober. He had shared his story, and his story was my story. Everything that I felt, everything that I went through, the shame, the guilt, and even like the events, it just felt very, we connected with him because he was telling my story, and it felt weird. It was such an experience because I was like hearing my story from behind me, like, my God. And I never met the guy. I didn't talk to the guy, but it stayed with me, and it kind of altered the path that I was on. So from that day, it kind of gave me a new motivation. And you know what I felt the most from him, that story? I felt not alone, because that was the biggest feeling when I first got sober. Was I believed that there was no one that could really understand what I was going through. Turns out that's just a lie that I tell myself, or a lot of us addicts tell ourselves. But once I felt that connection with him through his story, that opened up, like, then I started listening to everybody else. I started making real progress. You know, that story was kind of the point for me. And even as time went on, I was thinking about that story over and over, and the impact it had on me. It changed the trajectory completely of my program and my life, literally. And I had this thought, like, what if I can collect stories like that? You know, everyone has a story. Everyone out the story that can inspire someone or motivate someone. You never know what's going to be the thing that clicks with someone that really helps them out. So my thought was, look, let's just talk to people, gather as many of those stories as I can, record them, and just kind of share that with the world. So that Almost Above Average started as a way to share stories that impact people. And I don't want to get away from that ever. I always want inspiration and motivation to be part of this channel. Always. Hit subscribe if you made it this far. I do appreciate that. That is always going to be a part of my channel, is motivation and inspiration, because a big part of it, I create the motivational content to inspire myself, to motivate myself, to push myself. And I've noticed in the process, just from people in my life, like in my close circle, they are impacted. You know, I hear messages a lot that what I'm doing is inspiring. And that kind of keeps me making it. Now, over the last year, you know, you've probably seen the content a little bit. And I've always when Obama came into office is when I started like really getting political and really paying attention. I was young, but I remember him coming into office, and I really admired it. He was such a cool, smooth leader. He seemed like a great person. Like, it really inspired me. So that's kind of how I got into politics. And, you know, through the Obama years, I didn't really too much about politics. I liked the president at the time. And then, or even before that, even when Bush was president, like I wasn't political. I didn't think one way or the other about George Bush. I could take him or leave him. But Obama, you know, I thought I wanted to be because of Obama. I still love Obama. I think he's a great man. And then I started really getting political when Donald Trump started running. You know, I remember I was in town visiting my brother, and I was going to the gym with my brother, and I was walking on the treadmill, and they had it on the screen when Trump came down the escalator. And I remember thinking, this is going to be interesting. I had no idea going to happen. And then, you know, he gets into office, and there's like racism, and, you know, Muslims, like the little surfacing. And I didn't really think one way or the other about Donald Trump when he first started running. I was like, whatever. Like, my perception of him was he was a successful businessman, like most of us. We all kind of think that way. And so all these little negative things start dripping in, like, past reports that he's racist. Okay, so we start a lot more about Donald Trump as time goes on. But there was just so much corruption in the first one. And it kind of, I guess it triggered a lot of us. We're so polarized as a nation. But he's the type of person that really polarizes everyone. You really want to get to your side and defend it. And just watching him over the years made me disgusted. He's a horrible, horrible human being. So as far as the content relating to the channel, like, I know those two things probably don't mix, but that's what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to share inspiring stories. And I want to break down political coverage. I want to break down what's going on in our country because I care. Eventually, part of my plans in this life, I'd run for a political office in my 50s. After I build a successful roofing company, a successful media company, I want to have those things under my belt so that I can run for office and have a chance. I'm inspired, politically to make things better. I'm part of a servant. I want to help people, like genuinely help people. So when I see what's happening with Donald Trump and all his corruption, he lost it. He wouldn't concede. He was convicted of rape, basically, and the excuses that his supporters say they don't make sense to me. It is all brainwashed. Like, their responses are programmed and trained. The right, now they've been paying attention for a while now, and the left to a certain extent does this too, but the right always has their talking points in order. For example, when Amber Nicole Good got shot in the face, immediately President Trump went on his social media and flooded it with disinformation. He said lies about what really happened to change the narrative or to establish the narrative. Domestic terrorism. And then you see everybody below him fall in line all throughout the leadership of the GOP. Now, the left does that also, but to me, honestly, the left's talking points are more genuinely targeted to help. And all of the right's talking points every day are targeted to disrupt or to put another element into a situation to try to change the narrative. Like, we all saw the videos of the shootings, right? If you look at Twitter or even Facebook, right in our country right now is going hard on trying to paint Alex Preddy as a violent protester, because I guess the day before, there's videos all over that you can see that he spit into on a ICE agent while he was in the car, and then it looks like he kicks out the tail light of the vehicle, and then the ICE agents get out and they kind of rough him up, and what was reported, I think, broke a rib or something in that. So that notwithstanding, that happened, right? He did that, and I guess you could draw a conclusion that he was a violent protester or an agitator. You can draw that conclusion, but that behavior from a previous day doesn't justify the murder that we all watched. We all watched how that murder played out. Alex was trying to help that young lady. And I don't see how anyone can get anything other than that from that video. But they are trying. And that's what I'm saying about the talking points. There's something in the MAGA party where it's once they get their orders, they don't deviate outside of that. They don't think outside of that. That's just what it is. And it feels like there's a collective part of the brain of MAGA that's just like, you hear the thing from the person that you like, you repeat that thing no matter what. And it's, even when you bring logic into the situation, when you're having a spirited conversation with the opposite political party, can't get them to acknowledge it. Like, they stand on that thing, and you kind of, they know they're lying about it. They have to say it anyway. It's like, it's such a weird phenomenon. It's like they're keeping it real. Like, you admit what you just saw, because then your party will look at you differently. So the party dynamics are fascinating to me. The left has their problems too, but right now I think they're they care the most about the people genuinely. I'm not saying they're not corrupt. I'm not saying they don't have corrupt agendas also. But I think right now in our country, the left genuinely cares a little bit more about the population as a whole, Republicans included. I also think that. I feel as a whole, party wise, Democrats mostly care about everyone, mostly. And then I would say Republicans are the same, but MAGA is different. MAGA is not Republican or Democrat. MAGA is I don't know what it is. I mean, it's easy to call it a cult. It's very easy to call it a cult. They exhibit all the behaviors. And what sucks about that is that most of us, we all have family members in the MAGA party. So I guess, my passion towards politics does stem from my serve to help. Like, I may not be helping and motivating and inspiring when we're doing political coverage, but I'm also sharing information that I don't think a lot of people have. And there's, a part of probably most left-wing creators like trying to find a way to where we can actually talk to the MAGA party genuinely, like where you're going to be honest and I'm going to be honest, because it is not that way now. I know when I talk to someone from the MAGA party, I know exactly what they're going to say about everything because I heard the talking points too. So I think that's kind of, where we're at in our country conversation. And to me, in my opinion, it's because there's a block in the MAGA mind. It's like we can't do anything outside of dear leaders' wishes. And then we can't have that conversation together. But even when we do, it's like we can't even agree on facts anymore. Like kind of gone away. It's all about it. So, it's a little 4:40 in the morning and I hopping on here and kind of explaining the podcast, It's any of you that have been wild. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'm really trying to build something great. This network, the McMedia Network, is the thing that I want to build to a huge family business. Have everyone in my family to have. I really want to make the McMedia Network a big media network. I want to make documentaries. I want to make podcasts. I want to make music. I want to do a lot of things with this network. So this is, it's a passion project, but it will be into the future what I retire on. We're not there yet, and I could use some subscribers, so please hit subscribe. But this is the engine that's gonna take me to the finish line. My roofing company is what pays for all. It isn't free. It's not just I'm not just hitting record. There's a lot of software that comes with this. There's a lot of process and post-production, and it's all me. It's just me. I'm the only one that works for me now. And hopefully I can change that at the end of the year or by the end of the year. This year, we're going to really try to ramp up the roofing company and subsequently ramp up McMedia Network and try to make the content better. Speaking of which, if you have been following me for a while, I would genuinely love to hear your feedback. Send an email to mcmedia.network.l@gmail.com. Put feedback in the subject line and I'll definitely read it. I'm always looking for suggestions to make the content better. I do want to make it better. I'm limited by, finances and equipment, but, I just got a camera. It's a pretty good, I need a better one, but this one works and I can also take it out with me and do in-person podcasts. And I got some cordless mics that I can take out. So slowly but surely I'm building this stuff up, but it is expensive. Clipping software is expensive. Podcast recording software is expensive. And the time it takes to do all that. I'm grateful for AI. I use AI for almost everything. But even with AI, you're still limited, And what it really takes, what I'm kind of learning as I build this network, what it really takes to take off. Like I know when you watch my videos, you're not blown away by my production editing skills. I know that. I don't have them. I just don't. I mean, they're getting better. Another thing too is I have the time to edit. You know, it's 4 in the morning, almost 5 in the morning. Soon I'll be hitting the road, and then I'll be roofing all day. And if I have time tonight, hopefully we'll do another, political coverage video on what's going on. I think I'll probably hop on and do some episodes every now and again just to kind of explain the arc of the content, but at the end of the day, Almost Above Average is about inspiring people, about motivating people. I want to help. I want to help in any way that I can. I love when I meet interesting people. Everybody has a story, and if you can tell a story in an interesting way, I am fascinated. I'm very naive and I'm very curious. So, what I really love when I talk to what makes me want to ask them to be on my podcast, when it's just a regular conversation and someone that is passionate about something, even if we're not talking about the subject, when someone tells me about their passion passionately, especially when I didn't ask, and I can pick up on their energy, you can kind of feel their mood elevate and you get elevated, but passionate about the way they're telling that story. That is what I click to. Like, I'll ask people door knocking. I've asked so many people to be on my podcast just because when I was in their presence, they made an impression on me with their passion. I really love hearing about people's passions. It's awesome. So that's, this is almost above average, man. We're almost, all right? I'm not claiming that I'm the shit. I'm not saying that I'm really bad either. I'm almost above average. You know what I mean? And that's just a weird way of saying that I think I'm finally normal. And maybe that's a way for me to cope with all the bad things that I think I did when I was drinking and doing drugs for so long. But if you made it this far in the video, I am very grateful for that. Please hit subscribe. And whenever you're watching my content, you're like, why does it go from a gym to a roof to talking about Donald Trump? Well, I think I kind of explained a little bit of that. But, I'm kind of all over the place and capture it. And if some of these, some of the subjects we're talking about on the podcast, well, I'll do more of it. But I would absolutely love to hear from some of you guys. And wherever you're hearing it, if you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, you can leave a comment anywhere and I'll find it. There's not a whole lot of people watching, but we're going to change that this year. We're going to change that. And I could use your help. Hit subscribe and share some of this stuff. Share some of this stuff if you find it impactful. No one talks about the plight of the, because this wasn't a thing 5 years ago. How it came out for me was when TikTok came out and my kids were using it and they were making just some super creative stuff. Here, I'll go into this story too about why the media network. It was kind of based on TikTok. Before I moved out here, when I was throes of my drinking and drugs, the kids got really into TikTok and I could too. And at the time I was kind of losing my relationship with just drinking it all away. And so when I decided to quit drinking, like this decision had a whole bunch of like, all right, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to do with a microphone. That's going to be my job. And I'm working on that still. I wrote all these goals down in the airport. I wait here. I was like, I wanted to start a YouTube channel because they were into TikTok and YouTube. And I felt like that was a good way that I could try to, rebond with my kids. I wrote in the airway out here that I wanted to be able to do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, run for 10 minutes, and like basic yoga, just physical fitness things, just very bad. And what else did I put? YouTube channel. I wanted to start working out, and reading more and journaling. Like journaling, I've always journaled, but I always want to make it better. Like my journaling now, I journal every single morning. Right before I made this video, I was actually journaling. It used to be I would journal at the end of the day and just kind of describe everything that happened that day, which worked. Now it's different. Now in the morning, maybe 90% of the time, I really try to journal as the first event of the day. Before I go to the bathroom, before I look at my phone, I get my thoughts in order and I put my intentions for the day. These are the things I want to do today. These are the things I would love to get done, but it's not, huge. And I go through a list of I'm thankful for every day. And then I'll do a prayer at the end of each journal entry. I do the gratitude practice, and then I do, not every day, I need to do it every day, but a lot of times I'll do affirmations too. I'll put like, I'm a great dad, I'm a good friend, I'm humble, I'm, just as many affirmations as I can. Because like if you're just watching me on social media, like if you just see me on Instagram or TikTok, you probably get the impression that I'm a really happy-go-lucky dude and I'm always excited, and I paint a picture on social media excited, but in my head all day long, for real, I have a issue with negative self-talk. I negative self-talk a lot. It's so much so it is the default setting. What it is now, it's a practice of telling myself that those thoughts are not real. They're fake. I don't need them. You know what I mean? So I try as best as I can to do that as the first thing of my day, the first act of the day. And then that kind of sets the tone. And then I'm at the gym, usually. If I don't have a work thing first thing in the morning, then that is the first thing I'm going to do every time. Like the first 5 hours of the morning, 5 or 6 hours of the morning, is all me getting ready to deal with my day. Like getting my mind and my body in the right. It is crazy how much I need to do that, especially for what I do. I think that's probably what it is. Like if I just went, I used to work in factories and warehouses. If I had one of those jobs, it wouldn't matter waking up tired, waking up to alarm and going in tired. I didn't really care about performance that much. Like when you're working for somebody else, at least for me, I'm going to work hard enough to not get fired. But that's not true. The way I am, I tend to show off. So I tend to do really well when I work for people. But I also have this thing where because I work hard, I start to get entitled about things and think that I know better. So that is a challenge that I still struggle with. Thinking that I know shit. I do know some shit. But sometimes I think I know more than I do. But I'm aware of it and I work on it. Because the majority of what I do now is talking to people. That is what generates my income, is conversations. Whether it's roofing, I also own a magazine. It's a private magazine that goes into affluent neighborhoods. But with any of these things, what I really am doing all day is trying to set a meeting with someone and trying to talk to them. So I don't know why I was inspired at morning to get on here and do a little explanation about Almost Above Average, a little bit about me, Chris McIntyre, and just why this is what it is. I mean, all the channels are growing, all the social media growing. They're growing slowly, but they're growing. So that tells me that people are listening, and I'm just not quite sure what they're listening to. So I would love some feedback. I would really love some feedback. Don't worry, you won't hurt my feelings. Well, you might, but I'll get over it real quick. But anyway, if this one does really, I'll stop more like this. So if you enjoyed this, please hit subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Genuinely, I know every creator says that, but I want to know because I don't get a whole lot of comments, so I read all of them. And help me build this network. Share it with care about. At the end of the day, I just want to help. I just want to help someone. And that's it. My name's Chris McIntyre. This is Above Average. Thank you for subscribing today. Thank you if you've subscribed to me for a while. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I really can't. And yeah, this one does good, and we'll do some more. Anyway, hit subscribe. I know I said that too many times, but it's fine. See ya.